We are back with your top more deck profiles out of this week's beautiful luxury games tournament. And the first one we have here is DDD piloted by Elijah, making it into top 16. And honestly, this is the first DDD deck I've seen in a while. Actually, for this whole format. I know that the OCG was messing around with some concepts and things with this deck, but thankfully, we got somebody out here doing this deck justice, making top 16. So we have one copy of DD Ghost, triple copies of DD Lamia, triple copies of the DD Necro Slime, one copy of Orthros, triple copies of Savant Copernicus, triple copies of Savant Kepler, triple copies of the Swirl Slime. Remember, Swirl Slime and Necro Slime are going to be your best friends for this deck as you're comboing through on your opponent. Then we have one copy of the DDD Chaos King Apocalypse with the triple copies of Oblivion King Ragnarok. Now spells, we have triple copies of Allure Darkness, triple copies of Called by the Grave, triple copies of Dark Contract with the Gate, one copy of the Dark Contract with the Swamp King, one Into the Void, one for one, triple copies of Pot of Desires, one Upstart Goblin, and an interesting tech choice here is the triple copies of Where Art Thou. So, Where Art Thou, if you're stuck and need to search for the Swirl Slime, the Lamia, or the Servant Kepler, this beautiful card will give you full tutor ability for any of these 9 options to basically grant you full potential for combo. Now we have one copy of the Abyss King Gilgamesh, because setting up your scales in this deck is something that used to be hard. Now it's easy. We have one Halifibrax, one Cross Sheep, one Dingrisu, one Kali King Yuga, one copy of the Satellite Warrior. Been a little while since we've seen something like this come up, but interestingly enough, it's here. One Formula Synchron, one Gus King Alexandros, and the one Cursed King Siegfried, one Crystal Wing, and the one Borrowed Savage Dragon, along with one Diarch, two Genghis, and one copy of triple DDD Flame King Genghis. Side here is triple copies of Nibiru, one copy of Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend, triple copies of Dark Ruler No More, triple copies of Anti-Spell Fragrance, along with triple copies of Evenly Matched, one Imperial Order, and one copy of Red Reboot, wrapping up Elijah's top 16 DDD deck for everybody. Very interesting. There's not much else to say about this. It's really nice to see that we're finally able to see a combo variant of this deck shine. And like I said, if we had regionals right now, I think we'd be seeing a lot more of these, but this is what we're dealing with now. Next up, this is the Rock deck, and this was piloted by Jabril. Now, we talked about a while back that players were wanting to play Unexpected Die to bring out the beta of the Magnet Warrior. So basically you negate, your opponent will make an Appaloosa for 3 materials. You'll blow the first material on a negate, and then you'll summon the beta and attack over, and you'll basically continue on with your turn, comboing off, and playing the game. And basically, he was the only one in Top Cup playing this. It's a little bit cheesier, but it worked out for him to make it into top 32. So in the long run, yes, this is a thing. But unfortunately, I think that there are just better ways to go about this. And maybe at a regional level, this would be better, but this is what we're dealing with now. So we have triple copies of Analyzer, triple copies of Researcher, and triple copies of Seeker. We have 2 copies of Block Dragon. We're not maxing out on 3. I know a lot of people have talked about wanting to cut down from 3. There were a lot of builds that were playing 1, but remember, DD Crow is kind of starting to veer his ugly head because of Eldritch. And at this point, you know, watching your 1 Block Dragon get DD Crowed isn't going to be something that you're going to want to necessarily deal with mid-game. We have triple copies of the Doki Doki, 1 copy of Gigantes, 1 Jet Synchron, triple copies of the Kwakimaro Guardian. Some builds just don't even play this. Some builds love this card. It's really up in the air, honestly. We have triple copies of Pudding Susior, 1 Olion, 2 copies of the Red Resignator. So on normal summon, you can summon 1 level 4 or lower from your hand. And yeah, that's what we really care about here. triple copies of the level 4 Special Summon Extender, 2 copies of Beta, the Magnet Warrior, by the way, Earth Machine, triple copies of Adamancipator Signs, by the way, not once per turn, triple copies of Dark Ruler No More, triple copies of Unexpected Die, and 1 Upstart Goblin. Down in the next deck, we have 1 Mecha Beast Rorodon. Basically, now the best go-to card. Make those tokens and go along with your day. And then we have 1 copy of Unicorn, 1 Phoenix, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Halifibrax, 1 Borolo or Boral Sword, 1 Appaloosie, 1 Gallant Granite, the best generic card that this deck has, 1 Herald of the Arclight, 1 Crystal Wing, 1 Coral Dragon, 1 Borreload Savage, 1 Repite, 1 Leonite, and 1 copy of Dragite. Side deck here we have 1 Pankratops, triple copies of Nibiru, 1 Diamond Direwolf, triple copies of the Anti-Magic Arrows, triple copies of Cosmic Cyclone, triple copies of Anti-Spell Fragrance, and 1 copy of Imperial Order, wrapping up your beautiful rock list from Jabril. Next up, we have Subterror, and this was piloted by Christian, making top 32 out of the Luxury Games Tournament this weekend. This was the only copy of Subterror. Altergeist didn't make it into Top Cut. So, interestingly enough, this is it. This was the only, stun deck that we got, besides Eldritch, to wander its way into Top Cut here. So we have triple copies of Asher Blossom and Joyous Spring, 2 copies of DD Crow, 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, 1 copy of the Umastrix, triple copies of Fiendus, and triple copies of Guru with the 1 Nemesis Archer. That's it. That's your monster lineup. We have 2 copies of Called by the Grave, 2 copies of Pot of Duality, triple copies of Pot of Extravagance, 1 Terraforming, triple copies of the Hidden City. Traps, we have triple Compulsory Evacuation Device. This is very interesting to see these kind of wander their way back into the deck here. Basically, you're not too worried about wanting to play Warnings. You want that chain ability to basically blow out the format. And it's really good. We have triple copies of Solemn Judgment, 2 copies of Strike, triple copies of Subterror Final Battle, and triple copies of There Can Only Be One. This card is an auto blowout against rocks. Yes, they can climb in to do different things depending on where they're at, but flipping this up basically stalls them out to the point that you can smile at your opponent and go, hi! Down here in the extra deck, we have triple copies of Anima, 1 Linkuriboh, 1 Phoenix, 2 copies of Starving Venom, 2 copies of Dragostapelia, 2 copies of Mud Dragon, 2 copies of the Earth Golem Ignister, 1 Chimera Tech Mega Fleet, and 1 Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. Side deck area of 1 DD Crow, triple copies of Nibiru, triple copies of Lightning Storm, triple copies of Super Polymerization, with 2 different Dimension Ground, and triple copies of Evenly Matched, wrapping up Christian's top 32. Beautiful Guru list. And then last but not least, we have Clay's top 32 solid deck. This is the only solid deck that managed to get its way into Top Cut here. And there's a lot of hand trappage here. DD Crow's, once again, rotating its way back on into the format here. We got to stop the big terror of the Eldritch guy. So we have triple copies of Asher Blossom and Joyous Spring, triple copies of DD Crow, 1 copy of the Flame Buffalo, only 1, by the way, triple copies of Lady Debug, 1 copy of Falco, 2 copies of the Fowl, triple copies of Foxy, 1 copy of Gazelle, 2 copies of Jack Jaguar, and triple copies of Spinny. Spells here we have triple Signet Mining, triple copies of Pot of Desires, 1 Circle, 1 copy of Sanctuary, 1 Upstart, 2 copies of Will of the Salamangreat with triple copies of Infinite Impermanence, 2 copies of Salamangreat Rage, and 2 copies of Salamangreat Roar. Down in the next check we have 1 Update Jammer, 1 Transcode, but of course, 1 Zeroboros, 1 Security Dragon, triple copies of Sunlight Wolf, 2 copies of Heat Leo, triple copies of Balinix, 1 Phoenix, 1 Hida, and 1 Baguski. Side deck here we have triple copies of Phantasme, triple copies of Nibiru, 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, triple copies of Forbidden Chalice, triple copies of Evenly Matched, and 1 copy of Red Reboot, wrapping up another chunk of deck profiles for you guys. So if you guys have played any online tournaments or you guys have done relatively well, feel free to send over your deck list. I'm really far behind on messages right now, but I will eventually get them taken care of in the backlog. So don't worry if you haven't gotten a message from me in about a week or so. I will get there. So guys, outside of that, that's all we got. Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. And well, guys, I'm out. The ride never truly ends. Thank you, patrons, for helping support the channel. Without you guys, I don't know if I'd still be doing this. And for those of you that like Cardfight Vanguard, FanCool40 is here for all your content needs. And those of you asking if I sell cards, mcoolgames.com for all your trading card game needs. Check the description for more interesting info. Thanks for watching, guys.